All right, everybody. It's your boy Spank Dog, aka Pufferstein, at YouTube. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You already know. Let's get right into it. All right. So, first off, I got the hoodie challenge still going. You know what I'm saying? Like, the crazy thing is that this hoodie looks like the green hoodie I had on the other day, but it's not. It's actually the same version. It's the same hoodie I'll show you right now. So y'all don't think I'm cheating. This is the other hoodie right here. As you can see. Got the hoodie right there. And it's the same exact hoodie, but it's a different color. So the hoodie challenge is still going. 5th day, 5th different hoodie. And I'm here live. You know what I mean? So, yo, what's up, Barbara? How you doing? It's the homegirl right there. God bless you and yours, man. I hope everybody from your circle's doing well. Trying to keep the lives going, Barbara. Thank you, man. Thank you for the shout out to my brother. I'm gonna highlight that too. You know, I love my brother very much. He's a good person. You know, if it wasn't for my brother Quinn, you know, I'd make certain mistakes that I don't make. You know, he's older. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to keep me from making certain mistakes. You know, he got 3 years on me. So, you know, as you get older, you know, you both become adults. But when I was young, those 3 years that he had on me, they were major. You know what I'm saying? When you 13 and when I'm 10 and he's 13, that's the world of difference, them 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Him telling me stuff like, Spank, you know, don't lose your temper, this and that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I hope you and your family are doing well too, man. Always, Barbara. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we're going to get into it, though. We got some work to do. So the first thing we're going to get into is, well, the hoodie challenge, like I said, 5 days, 5 lives with 5 different hoodies. Like I said, it motivates me to do a next live because I want to prove to everybody that I got a million hoodies and that I want to keep this live stuff going. You know what I mean? So we're going to get into this racist dude first. You know what I'm saying? Let me share the screen right now. You know, I know some of you have heard of Chud the Builder. You know what I'm saying? A matter of fact, let me change this real quick. Change the angle. I hope you guys like the man cave. I created it earlier. You know, it takes a second to create, but it's worth it. I'm trying to give you guys a different setting every day. Oh, that's dope that you got a big brother. You know, that's good. I'm pretty sure he tells you when you're making a mistake or whatever, you know. So let me share the screen of the right video. Okay, some of you are aware of this numbskull. Let me get rid of the commercial.
And shove my girl.
Monday.com, the opposite of any work platform we tried in the past. We tried other work management platforms, not naming names.
He chimping out. He said,
Yeah, this dude's losing his mind, man. You know, that I can't even say how upset that gets me. Like this is when I gotta realize that I'm on YouTube. I got a channel I care about, and I can't be losing my cool because the channel is important. But this dude, he really pisses me off.
We have another amazing show for you guys today. Today we're going to be
Big shout out to Young Don Reacts.
Shut up. He chimping out. He said, "What's the issue?" Because I looked at him.
Chimping out.
He chimping out.
Put that phone down. Put
Why?
That phone down.
You don't like looking ugly?
Put that phone down, bitch ass boy.
Shut up. Come on, come do
Put
something.
that phone down.
Come do something.
Put that phone
Pull
down.
up.
Oh, he got found. Put
Yeah,
that
yeah.
phone
Walk
down.
up.
Found. All right.
That's my
yeah,
time.
man. This is usual suspects.
You see, like this dude, he got a gun on him. So he's talking reckless, but you know, he's talking tough because he got the thingy on him, you know, and I don't even understand this type of stuff. Why would you rage bait somebody and then when they get upset, you got a firearm on you and you're mad because they're standing up for themselves? Hold on, I'm gonna stop it for a second. This guy is a real piece of work. I don't know if you've seen him yet, Barber, but he's no good, and now he's going through a bunch of trouble. You know, karma has come for Chud the Builder. You know. All right, give me 1 second. I really wanted them to just go into some of his videos. You know what it is? A lot of people are commentating on this video. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to share this right now. I was trying to get like a little compilation video of his. Well, I want to get his picture up too. I want people to know who this dude is. He's losing his mind saying stuff like that. That's so disgusting. He looks like he's appalled because he's mad when he baits them into reacting. Like he says some slick shit to them, and then when they say, yo, like who, like what you talking about, he goes, I don't even know if I could say this or not. He says they're chimping out. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, you already know it. Don't take a rocket scientist to know that he's being derogatory towards black folks. You know, I'm not even gonna break down the meaning of his insult. You know, he doesn't even deserve that kind of attention. But yeah, I'm gonna play it again real quick.
He chimping out.
Put that phone down. Put
Why?
that phone down.
You don't like looking ugly?
Put that phone down, bitch ass boy.
Shut up. Woo!
They ready to do it to him, but he got a firearm. He knows better than to do that type of shit without having his thingy on him, because he would have gotten pulverized. But you know, my thing is why would you antagonize and make sure to have that? And you know, like, you know, they're not gonna do nothing, so you're starting trouble. And then when people go to stand up for themselves, like any real man would, because to be honest with you, I'm not with violence, but if somebody says something or does something and they cross a certain line, you know, you already know what it is. You know, I just don't, on my channel, I don't like to even like say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think about the kids. I don't want the kids out there fighting. I want them to use their words to squash beefs. So like for me to say that, you know, in my opinion, when a person does a certain something, it's got to be like that. You know, I'm careful because I don't want the kids to, you know, act on something they heard like that, and you know, maybe it could have been avoided. You know what I'm saying? But once you cross a certain line, don't be surprised if you get punched in your face.
Come on, come do something. Come do something. Pull up. Oh, he got a fire on him. Yeah, walk up.
He said, "Oh, he got a firearm on him."
They chipping out. They chipping out.
He got the porn stash. That shit is corny. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you something. Matter of fact, I don't care what kind of mustache you got. If you got a good heart, what kind of mustache you got don't matter. You know, that's a concept this bozo can't grasp.
Dumbass.
Wow.
Dumbass.
Wow. And you
know, big shout out to whoever this is. To let me see the guy's name. Big shout out to Watch TV, who also covered it. You know what I'm saying? And people are upset. I've seen black folks cover it. I've seen white folks cover it. Nobody likes this guy. You know, but there's a certain video I was looking for that shows like what's happened to him. You know, I think I'm just gonna go with my man that I watched first. He kind of breaks it down or whatever. All right, give me 1 second. I got this for sure. Yeah, we're gonna mess with Young Don. Big shout out to Young Don because he covers the story pretty good.
You asked for more ways to create, so we made a major update. Sleeve printing is now live.
Pretty begging for money, as they always end up doing. But this guy's such a piece of shit. Not even white people like him. Most white people don't like this guy. Even racist white people think he's a complete idiot.
Yeah, we're gonna
Has
watch.
anyone actually made it to level 4 before? If you're slightly congested, use level 1.
We
never heard of Young Don. Go subscribe to his channel. A matter of fact, I'm not subscribed. I'm gonna subscribe right now. He definitely gets a thumbs up, and let's
have another amazing show for you guys today. Today we're going to be talking about this piece of shit racist grifter who goes by the name Chud the Builder. Yeah. This guy, he's completely fucked up his life, man. But for the bunch of innocent,
he insinuates that that you know it's a rap. You know, it's a long video too.
On him and want to settle shit like a man. Bunch of innocent college. What it is that they were asking. This is, of course, how these people. This is the only way.
Dumbass. Yeah, turn your fucking music down and don't park in the fire lane no more. That's what we're talking about. Don't park in the fire lane no more. Dumbass. Pimping out. Get out of my face, boy. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Dumbass.
Like, what does he think about? Yeah, freedom of speech exists, but what do you think about when you say he's, you know, what you're saying? He's whatever and out. You think nobody's gonna get mad? And then it's like he tries to point out that they're getting angry, like that's something to use against them. If I said something racially derogatory towards you being white, and you got upset, nobody would be surprised. If you come at anybody's nationality or culture in a derogatory way as a racial slur, they're going to react. You know, very few people would be like, I'm going to take the high road. And there are people out there like that, but I'm going to be honest with you, that's some next level stuff. It takes a really, really good person to hear a person say something that's stupid and ignorant and actually say, you know what? He got issues. He, you know, his misery is gonna deal with him on his own, and I'm not even gonna pay attention to that.
You know, it's crazy how.
Yeah, I believe this is the same guy again. Yeah, we're going to play this whole segment.
Himself a Mexican. He goes from being a white guy to being a Mexican.
Saying you're a white.
He's getting rejected.
He talks about how white folks who are racist, or even like Nick Fuentes, that when it starts to get bad, they switch their whole tune up. Like he just says right now that there's a video, I haven't seen it yet, where Nick Fuentes gets in trouble by the cops, and it's something about racism, and he says, I'm Mexican. He pulls, like, he utilizes the fact that he's Spanish, which is pathetic. How are you Spanish and you say the type of stuff that Nick Fuentes says? It's ridiculous. So I'm gonna go back just a little, and we're gonna listen to Young Don.
An Orthodox Christian. They're always Christian. Christianity is a front for white supremacy, and we're actually going to see.
You know, religion. I have no problem with religion. Religion is so broad, right? You know that there's good Christians, there's bad Christians, there's good Muslims, there's bad Muslims, there's good Jehovah's Witness, there's bad. You know, there's good and bad in everything when it comes to religion. The big religions have so many people that there's gonna be good and bad. You know, let me check the comments real quick. Yeah, see, all right. What up, Barbara? Let me check your comments real quick. She said looking like Sonny Bono. Yeah, right. You know, with the porn stash, right? Like, it's crazy. Good one, Barbara. I like that one. All right, Fire Lane PO. Yeah, I mean, you know, the Fire Lane thing is just him looking for a reason to talk shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading your comments, Barbara. The internet is something else. There are people out there that would spend time looking for him. Yeah, you got to be careful. That's what I'm saying. Like, homie's wilding. Like, when you troll like that and something bad happens, you know, I'm not wishing bad on him. As far as he took it, as disgusting as what he did is, I still don't wish harm on him. And mind you, he's rage baiting by using racial slurs and then got a firearm on him on top of that. There's some dudes that would be so offended that they wouldn't care about the firearm, and you would have had to use that thing. You know, he don't think he's listen, let me tell you something. Not only is he a dodo, he's after that money. He's trying to get to the bag through YouTube. You know what I'm saying? You know, yeah, man, that's the new thing, rage baiting. I've heard it a lot lately, a lot lately, that term. You know what I'm saying? So, but let me push forward because Don covers the story.
Racists acknowledge that in a later clip. This is going to be the best video you've ever seen on this guy post his downfall, and his downfall is magnificent. He is already begging for money. He can't find a job. Nobody likes him. He's getting rejected by white girls. The police have arrested him. He's just a complete pathetic loser. And now even the racists are abandoning him because they found evidence that he is just a complete grifter. He doesn't even stand on his racism all the way.
Shocker. Shocker.
As most of these people,
right? Shocker that he's really a beggar at heart. Like, this is just one of his scams. You know, the crazy thing is that there's a chance he don't even feel the way he's saying he feels, but he knows that's the way to the bag. You know what I'm saying? Then now what they're doing is pretending like they got done filthy over their racism and they got fired and this and that. Now they open GoFundMes, and racist people fund them through GoFundMe. That's how wild this is. Like, you literally get fired for doing something slimy, and the slimy people come out the woodworks and donate to your GoFundMe. That's how crazy this world is. That's the new slimy person scam. So let me let him keep talking.
Don't we remember that clip with
big shout out to Don Creates, where like he kept it official too. Don Creates, as he speaks throughout this, he also says stuff that's not hateful. It's accurate. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he don't like the guy, but he don't catch feelings. He says facts, you know.
Nick Fuentes, when he was confronted by the police, all of a sudden he's a Mexican. He's calling himself a Mexican. He goes from being a white guy to being a Mexican.
I gotta see that clip. I didn't see what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? I definitely gotta see that clip where Nick Fuentes cops a plea when he gets confronted by the cops over his racism.
You saying you're a white supremacist? I'm not a white supremacist. I'm Mexican. I know I kind of like.
And that's how you know all of these guys, they're just picking the pockets of low IQ, disgruntled, poor white people. That's all it is. That's all this is. But before we get into his magnificent and glorious downfall, let's learn a little bit about his origin story. How did this guy start off? So here's a post by this guy. Here is the original post that the BLM crowd canceled me for 2 years ago. I got fired and was forced to start my own company. Since I started my company, the chimps have been trying to starve and harass me the entire
You believe this? Oh my God.
time. Professional victim, these guys. They want the gun to my head apology. It won't happen. Of course, his phone is on 1% when he posts this, because this is a reflection of who this guy is as a person. His life has been falling apart his entire life. He's been a loser. He's been incompetent. He's been a lame his entire life. And then eventually he had the bright idea that he can just blame all of his problems that he has caused for himself on black people. And of course, he's holding up a cross because, again, Christianity is nothing more than a tool of white supremacy. But anyway, this isn't about shitting on Christianity right now. Let's talk about this guy. This is a woman.
You can't blame religion because a person utilizes it to do wrong. You get what I'm saying? Like, I would never, if there's some guy out there using Buddhism to do a grift, to be a grifter, to do a scam, I don't got a problem with Buddha. I don't got a problem with Buddhism. I got a problem with that person
that posted this guy. My mom is driving me to school, right? This guy almost sideswipes us, so we went in a different lane. He came over and spit on my mom's car, and I asked, "What's your problem?" And he says the hard R, and held this up because of course he did. So this is what we do now. Y'all white people calling black people hard R's, crazy. And so, as he already acknowledged, he eventually gets fired from his job for being a piece of shit racist.
Good.
And then he has to start his own business. But because he lives in a relatively small town, everybody learned pretty quickly that he is not to be associated with and that he's a scumbag individual. And I found an excellent meme that perfectly describes the mental condition that this guy has and men like him, right? This is known as the white.
Notice he says men like him. This is not regarding all white people. This is regarding this kind of person. And I agree, this kind of person does say this exact type of stuff.
Whining white man. The whining white man suffers from reproductive insecurity and fear of competition. He spends endless hours online crying about feminism, Jews, multiculturalism, and immigration. Anyone who's not a white male making progress is seen as a threat, and he will resort to psychotic verbal attacks to justify his racial hatred victim narrative. Here are some common phrases that you will hear from the whining white man. They don't know what's coming. The Jews. I'm not jealous. I'm disgusted. Asian women are made for Aryans. Of course, these men.
You see, this is a certain kind of person who has problems with Jewish people, Latino people, black folks, and everybody else in the world that isn't them. Now, everything that he just said, all those lines I've heard before.
They always flock to Asian women because white women aren't completely uninterested in them. We need to start shaming race mixers.
They need to start shaming race mixers, but yet they're talking about Asian women were made for us.
The Jews. I can't find a wife, so I'm going to end the world. I want to say the hard R. I shouldn't have to compete with brown people. And this.
Yeah, man, it's true. It's 100% true. All right, I wanted to see another clip with this guy.
Excuse me? What are you doing?
I'm taking photos of books.
Why are you taking pictures of books?
Where the fuck you is at?
What is up, everybody? We are here at Medieval Times, and we are so excited to tell you about our new show.
We've got new.
I'm like 6'9" on O Block. Where you is at?
Now, of course, just like 6ix9ine, though, he posts this video and he hops in his car and he drives back to his house.
What a bozo. Why would you even bring up 6ix9ine? Oh my God. That's the last person you should even bring up.
Immediately before anybody shows up. But he wants to paint this picture that he's a tough guy. He's not afraid of black people. He just tells black people how it is. He says it straight to their face. But here's a video of him going to a gas station in a low-income black community and just watch how he behaves. Look at this shit.
Hold up. You fuck with it?
Right? He gets a compliment from a black.
Yeah, yo, like the dude in the store was being cool with him. Like he told him, you mess with the mustache, and he was like, yeah, I mess with it. Like being so not like him, not racist. Like I said, man, this is why people don't understand. Even though certain neighborhoods are poverty stricken, there's a certain good that comes out of the poverty stricken neighborhoods. I grew up in Bedford-Stuyvesant. And the love that's in Bedford-Stuyvesant is major. You know, there's things that go on. Yeah, you know, there's crime, whatever. But there's love. There's tons of love. And like I said, there's a certain sharing that comes out the hoods that people don't even know about. You understand? Like when it comes to being in a bad neighborhood, there is no surviving without helping each other. And that's what people don't get.
Black guy who he would describe as a YN, who of course is just minding his business, probably picking up some Black and Miles or buying fucking Coca-Cola from his local gas station. He gets a compliment and he starts to blush immediately. Oh, you fuck with it? These men, these people, they're actually desperate for Black approval, and you're going to see that even more as this video continues. It is their greatest desire to actually be embraced by Black people.
What do you say? What do you say? You ain't seen a mustache like this in years?
I don't know what he said.
He shouted you out, homie. He said he ain't see it in years. And then when you said if you mess with it, he was like, yeah, I mess with it. Let me tell you something, man. People from neighborhoods like that, they're the most accepting and diverse and different. Like they think outside the box. The hood, New York City, Brooklyn, we're trendsetters. All this name brand stuff comes from us pioneering it. And that's a fact. It don't matter who made it. We made it cool. That's real. You know, look, I'm gonna tell you something. At a certain time, it wasn't even easy to dress fly. It's easy to dress fly now. Because now all the major, like the richest of the rich, they cater to urban neighborhoods. But at one point, Gucci, Fendi, Prada, all these rich name brands, they wouldn't make clothes for the urban neighborhoods. So you had to go to a certain, almost like mid-level, expensive kind of clothing, like Liz Claiborne, Perry Ellis, Tommy Hilfiger, Polo, Lacoste, Genera, Ocean Pacific, Benetton, even Banana Republic, Gap, Levi's, the sports name brands, Adidas, Nikes, all that stuff. That wasn't like Gucci, Prada, Fendi. When the rappers started getting tons of money and they were like, yo, like, I don't even care if it looks right or not. I want the best of the best, the richest of the rich. You seen, I ain't gonna front, a lot of the down south heads used to floss in what's it called? You would see Biggie with the Coogee sweaters, but he also used to wear Armani, Moschino, but what's that name brand? Versace. You know, Biggie, was one of the dudes that started wearing Versace, and he was an East Coast dude that was, you know, the type of dude you see in Polo, Tommy Hilfiger, Izod, like that type stuff. But dudes didn't really mess with the Versace, the Prada, the Gucci, the Louis, the Fendi, right? But then when dudes started getting money with the hip hop, or even some of the dudes that were getting money with the narcotics, you would see them buy the finest of the finest threads, even though it didn't look right. Then eventually Gucci, Louis, and Fendi started to see that hip hop was making it a thing. They started making clothes that were more suited for the rich folks too, but also suited for people from the hood. And now you see that blend. You know, back in the days, the clothes you see in Gucci, Prada, Fendi, Balmain, you know, True Religion was big at one time. It fell off, but you know, Hermes, like all these name brands, you see them cater to the urban hip hop culture. That's a fact.
Where'd he go?
Look. He's hunting him down. He's chasing him down.
What up, bro?
He's trolling.
How you been?
Look. Oh my God, black people are so scary. We're so violent. He gets a compliment from a black guy who doesn't know him. Another elderly black man who's just sitting by the gas station minding his business asks him, you know, how's your day going? And this is the low income black neighborhood that they want you to be afraid of, right?
Hey, what'd you
when all in
The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith Qudsi,
Don is killing it right now.
all reality, it is a small
Don is telling the truth.
percentage of black people in these communities that are actually committing any violent crimes of any nature. Most people are just trying to mind their business, pay their bills, and have fun on the weekends. That's what the grand majority of all people are doing, including poor black people in the hood. But look,
All right, so look, I'm gonna look for like one more clip of this guy acting like a buffoon. Let's see what this is about.
arrested as a result of behaving like a buffoon. Look at this.
dumbass? Yeah, turn your fucking music down and don't park in the fire lane no more.
Was an online influencer arrested for making racist videos? Well, not exactly. According to a post he made himself, the real reason for the arrest might surprise you. Here's what really happened to Dalton Etherly, also known as Chud the Builder. Dalton Etherly.
This is a good report. You know, this report is breaking it down.
A Tennessee contractor and social media figure known online as Chud the Builder, was arrested on November 19th, 2025. He had over 70,000 followers and became known for filming confrontations in public, often using racial slurs and provoking people while carrying a firearm. Many believed his arrest was tied to those viral videos, but according to a post he made on X, his harassment charge was actually for something different. In his words, the crime of the century? Call forwarding. He claimed he was arrested because he allegedly forwarded calls from his phone number to another person's number, someone he says had been publicly posting his address and phone number for months. So instead of being charged for recording and posting controversial videos, his harassment charge was reportedly connected to misusing call forwarding to direct unwanted calls to someone else. That's important because it changes what the case is legally about. It's not directly about speech or content. It's about alleged digital harassment through call redirection.
Yo, so y'all guys know about homie. I don't want to really give him too much light. You know, he's a lame, period. It's not about the color of his skin. You know what I'm saying? It's about his mental state, you know, his beliefs. And, you know, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get to the next thing. All right. And the next thing we were going to cover was the Epstein files that they're going missing. So let me pull the video up. You know what I'm saying? We're going to cover the video where they talk about the Epstein files are starting to literally disappear from the Department of Justice website. That's wild, right? Let me check the comments real quick. Yeah, man, like, yeah. You know, like right now money is devoted towards other things and stuff, but yeah, man, like I like shopping. I like getting fly gear. That's definite. You know, I definitely like getting some nice clothes, you know what I'm saying? So but anyway, let's get to that next video. I'm share it right now. Yeah, man, the you know what's crazy? I knew from the beginning that when they said they were gonna release the Epstein files, I had a feeling they were gonna be tainted. And sure as shit, it's getting further along and it's happening. So I'm gonna bring it up right now, people. Hold on, I'm having a little bit of a hard time finding it. All right, here we go. We're good right now. Yeah, when they said when they said that the Epstein files were going to be released, I had a feeling that something was going to happen. And as you can see, we're going to bring it up right now. It's happening.
We have some wild breaking news. The Trump admin just got caught red-handed trying to delete already posted Epstein photos off of the DOJ website. But it gets worse. They are surgically targeting any photos with Donald Trump in them. So overnight on the DOJ website, files began to disappear from the official release. Just to make it even worse, the full Epstein files haven't even been released, which is inherently illegal. The Epstein Files Transparency Act had one very clear deliverable. 30 days after it passed, all of the Epstein files needed to be released, and redactions can be there, but with common sense. You can't just redact.
Big shout out to Adam Mockler. Before we proceed, let me hit him with the thumbs up. It's the Adam Mockler channel. Definitely subscribe. In my opinion, I would definitely recommend this channel. Don the creator, I would recommend also.
Every single government official, but you can redact certain survivors' names. Well, they messed up. They messed all of it up. The DOJ intentionally is covering up government officials' names.
Do you think they're letting them remove the pictures, or you think somebody hacked into it and are removing it?
Intentionally are delaying the release of more files, and now they are intentionally deleting photos. Let's just back up for 1 second and talk about the consequences for deleting photos and covering things up. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez points out now the cover-up is out in the open. This is far from over. And she posted this last night. She said, everyone involved will have to answer for this. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, the entire administration, protecting a bunch of rapists and pedophiles because they have money, power, and connections. Bondi should resign tonight. Now, this was related to the news. This was only in regards to the news that the Epstein files weren't even going to be fully released yesterday, and they were going to be entirely redacted. Now, it's gotten much, much worse.
You know, these are videos usually I'll take time out to edit and do my commentary and make sure they're flawless, but there's so much news coming out. I don't got time to edit everything. That's why I go live and cover this stuff with you guys now.
This morning, Brian Krasenstein said, breaking, below you will see me opening the photo of Donald J. Trump that I downloaded at 4 p.m. last night from the DOJ's website. These photos were derived from the Epstein files, and this file in particular, EFTA 0468, was removed sometime last night from the DOJ's Epstein file dump. You can look for yourself. Before and after footage we have. This is absolute proof that Trump's DOJ is actively scrubbing files related to Donald Trump. Now, the file that they scrubbed, it's a photo in a drawer of Trump, and you can see Melania, Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell. We've seen this photo before, but then there are more photos of Trump, and it seems like either victims, survivors, something. And there are more photos. Let's continue right here. This screenshot from the Oversight Dem says, this file.
Yo, Barbara, let me ask you, man, when you heard they were going to release the Epstein files, did you think that they were going to be tainted like I thought? Or did you think they were going to make it through and we were really going to finally get to see the worst of the worst regarding the files?
File 468 from the Epstein files that included Donald Trump has now been removed from the DOJ website. AG Pam Bondi, is this true? What else is being covered up? We need transparency for the American public. And let me take you to the thread that proves the entire thing. First of all, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the Adam Mockler feed. We are currently in Phoenix, Arizona, debating Trump supporters at the Turning Point USA event. And boy, I'm a bit tired. I haven't slept much over the past few days. So drop a like and subscribe if you appreciate the work. Adam Cochran points out the cover-up that is happening from people in power. We call them the Epstein class. Democrats call them the Epstein class, and it's so incredibly true. Donald Trump has created multiple different classes in our economy. There is the top 10%, the richest of the rich, who are able to donate to politicians and lobby to get things passed and basically slide some money under the table to maybe, not be released in the Epstein files. Then we have the bottom 90%, the average American, like the vast majority of Americans, people like you and I. We're not donating to political candidates. I mean, I gave like $40 to Kamala Harris. I did have a recurring donation to her, but I'm not a lobbyist. You and I don't have access to the healthcare that the richest of the rich can just pay out of pocket for. People a year. The job market is terrible for young people. The housing market is perhaps even worse for young people. The point that I'm trying to make here is that it feels like Republicans, we can talk about Trump in particular, have created these dueling economies, these dueling classes. The top 10%, if they're in the Epstein files, they can just pay to play and pay off judges, pay off whoever they want so that this never comes to light. The bottom 90%, we're sitting here wanting transparency from the government. I want...
Yo, big shout out to Adam Mockler, man. He does good work. He's out there really fighting for what's right. You know what I'm saying? So am I. And there should be a lot more people out there, telling the truth, not sitting idly by. Remember, there's 90% of us. There's 10% of them. And I don't usually like to do the us and them thing. But the fact of the matter is that everyday people are getting treated like they're nothing. And people, the 10%, the people holding all the money are like how much money do some people need? What is it with this billionaire? I need more stuff. Like, what billionaire needs more? What millionaire needs more? Listen, man, I was out there getting it. Listen, I'm going to tell y'all something real quick that I really never told. I never was on the channel talking about none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, man, I was out there getting it. Like, really getting it. You know what I'm saying? And I know what it's like to have decent amount of money, if you get my drift. It doesn't go easily. You gotta be you gotta be on some real wild out shit to spend buku bucks. Like, for people out there with $100 million, if you run through it, like, you're insane. Like, you understand what I'm saying? I know what it's like to have a nice chunk of change, and I see that you gotta really spend frivolously, like disgustingly, like irresponsibly to run through bread. You get what I'm saying? Like, you could do a lot of stuff that you want. You could eat out every day. You could pay whatever bills you gotta pay. And they're still extra. You get what I'm saying? Like, the way these people live, they're so selfish. It's crazy. Like, for a person to have $1 billion and not to think about going to literally alleviate people's stress, to go out there and help a person fix their life. Like, what kind of person are you, bro? Like, that's a real thing. Like, when I say Robin Hood, that don't mean that I'm going to go out there and get on it like that. That's especially for anybody that's watching that's like, you know, on some like watching for a reason, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I'm gonna do that. I'm saying that Robin Hood is the hero for a reason. That's what I'm telling all of you people. You forgot. Like, whatever happened to the whole you know, the good guy is the good guy, bro. Like, how did the bad guy become the good guy? Like Stephen Miller, Voldemort, Donald Trump, the orange, you know, I gotta be careful, you know what I'm saying? I can't be dumbing out, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you gotta be careful, man. You know, there's certain people out there, I'm not talking about them, I'm saying, but there's people out there that'll throw something in your drink. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful. I'm not saying that they'll do it to a person that's not a big fish. I'm not saying, I don't know what be going on, but I know that you got to be careful. You can't be out there talking reckless. Like, I get up here and I try to enlighten people as much as I can without bugging out, because I don't need anybody trying to do no shit like that to me, you know? And, you know, I'll just leave it at that for right now. But like I'm saying, back to the topic at hand, you know what I'm saying? If they finally release the files and they're deleting them, you know, then what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Let me bring it back up to full screen so that we could watch the rest of the thing.
Two things from the government right now: transparency, and for the government to give a fuck about actual Americans, like everyday Americans. We're sending a bunch of money to Argentina, $40 billion. We're sending a bunch of money to Israel, like $20 billion this year. Over and over, we send all this money. Where is the healthcare for American people? To continue, proof: the DOJ just deleted one of the files they released that contained Trump. Yesterday, file 468 was shown to have a picture of Trump that they missed. We know this because it was downloadable yesterday, as can be seen by...
And that's what I'm saying. Like, right now, you could take a screenshot and you got the picture yourself. Like, they failed with that one because people had already downloaded it. You get what I'm saying? But I don't know if that's the case with whatever other pictures went missing. Like, I don't know if they were successful in getting rid of a picture forever, or I don't know if they were trying to get rid of pictures that it was already too late. People had already downloaded it. You know what I'm saying? That's what it seems like with this picture. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I don't know if they were able to get rid of anything forever, and I don't know who was behind it.
By my local copy. Adam Cochran has the photo right here. There are photos of Trump in this corner, and he had not only the downloaded file.
I knew they were gonna hide most of them. Oh, yeah. All right, cool. All right. I'm going to show that real quick, Barbara. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it does. Yeah, that's not rocket science, right? You're absolutely right. You know, it don't take a genius to know because he's the sitting president that they were going to try to, it was going to be tainted. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Listen, man, like I said, you got to be careful. You don't want to ever take it to a point where you can't come back up here. So that's why I be careful. But, you know, I try to also figure out where I could go. And yeah, there are accusations against our president that are really bad. You know, they're really bad. You know what I'm saying? It looks like he was doing stuff that's foul, you know, and like I said, it's alleged. You know, that's what all this is about. A lot of people, if you really say, oh, what do they care about the files? You know, why are they making such a big fuss? Because it might reveal something about our president. If you're too ignorant to understand what it reveals, you know, like you need it written on the wall for you, that's your problem. You know, a lot of us people, a lot of us, you know, half intelligent people or better, understand what it means. You know what I'm saying? Let me pull that down real quick. Let's hear a little more from Makla.
File, but he had the downloadable archive so he could see all of the different files. Let me show you right here.
If you got a virus on your computer, pretty sure it's my fault. I click on all sorts of shit. Get rid.
EFTA 467, EFTA 468, EFTA 469. But then it gets a little bit more
Whoever's behind it was successful in removing one of the pictures.
More peculiar, because we find out as of the morning, the DOJ site no longer lists this file. It is inaccessible, even directly. So now,
if you went to the DOJ site right now to try to retrieve EFTA 467 the PDF, 468, you won't be able to retrieve it, if I'm correct.
now we look at EFTA 467, it skips over to EFTA 469. Adam Cochran then says, to ensure this wasn't just a data error, I re-downloaded the entire data set to see if the file still existed there. It doesn't. If you download the full archive this morning, it skips over file 468 entirely. There is no file 468. This is after the ridiculous claims by the DOJ spokesperson that, quote, no politically exposed persons were redacted or withheld, and redaction reasons were provided for every withholding. 5 out of 6. Picture 468 contains no identifiable victims, no police or intelligence techniques, no abuse material, photos that were already public, and no national security secrets. Therefore, there is no legal reason to remove the files under this act. Pam Bondi and the DOJ have quite literally illegally removed a file from their own document publication to protect Trump from embarrassment. This is the clearest sign that it is a malicious cover-up and not an earnest effort. This is perhaps the clearest sign. Then they proved. Listen, we have some breaking news. Harry Sisson reports at least 16 documents and photos have been deleted from the Epstein files overnight, including a photo of Trump with no explanation from the DOJ or Trump per AP. They're actively
There's got to be other copies of them
covering for Trump and other wealthy men.
What do you think? There's got to be other copies of them, right? There's no way he had he had one of the pictures that was deleted. So the other pictures had to have been already downloaded and screenshotted.
Keep the pressure up. This is a really good example of the pressure campaign that has come from the left, but also some people on the right. People like Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene have been applying pressure as well. And the pressure campaign from the American public and some people in power is beginning to work. Our voices are being heard. And one of the really fucked up things.
Yeah, payoffs. I just seen your comment. Yeah, payoffs to definitely, well, allegedly, definitely.
It's about the survivors' stories. I've listened to a lot of their testimony, a lot of their stories that they've talked about. There's been a bunch of interviews. Is that this isn't just the Trump.
So, but look, man, y'all guys get it. They're saying that somebody's up there pulling down files, deleting them. And like I said, when they said they were gonna release the Epstein files, in my head, I was like, there's gonna be too much redacted stuff. There's gonna be missing files. And then it was looking like we were looking good. It was looking like we were gonna be able to receive all the files. And then out of nowhere, now they're removing files. Like I said, I'm hoping and praying that they made screenshots and they got copies of the pictures. We're gonna move on to the next topic. Give me 1 second, people. All right. I usually drink the lemon ones, but they didn't have the lemon ones on sale. And, they cost $3, but when I get them in bulk, I get them for like $1.66 each. So they had this new flavor called, what's it called? Lando Norris, I think it's called. Yeah, Lando Norris. And I was like, you know, I read about it. I said, to hell with it, I'm gonna try it. It's supposed to be melon flavored, and then yuzu. It's a citrus fruit. It's a Chinese citrus fruit, I believe. A Japanese citrus fruit. I'm not sure. But it's yuzu and melon, I think. And you know, I'm not a big fan of melon, but I was just like, you know, I'll try it. It can't be that bad. It's all right. I definitely want my lemon back next time, or another flavor. You know what I'm saying? I was drinking these before Red Bull. I never, you know what I didn't like about Red Bull? They always had only the fuel flavored flavor. They didn't have where you could get fruit punch, lemon, it's fruit punch, lemon, and blueberry. So yeah, I was always drinking that one. I never drank Red Bull. And then now Monster's blowing up. Like they came out of nowhere. Like they're one of the biggest energy drink companies in the world. They used to not be like that, you know. All right, let's get to the next topic. The next topic is this one hits close to home. You guys know that my son has severe autism, and this officer literally pulls out his firearm on a 15-year-old autistic child. Now, they talk about how they're lucky that the autistic child was high functioning, because when he draws his weapon on the child, he tells him don't move. A kid like my son, who's rambunctious, who has no control over his motor skills, who doesn't talk, who's nonverbal at 15 years old, he would have definitely moved. Like this is the type of stuff that if I'm not careful, like my eyes will well up. You know what I'm saying? But I made a promise to myself that, like, when I'm on YouTube, you know, I'm not saying it's not okay to, like, you know, let a tear go on YouTube, but, you know, I'm not here to cry. I got other moments I could cry. This ain't one of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to do what I gotta do. You know, and what I gotta do is show you guys this video. Let me highlight this comment while I go grab that. Yeah, this piece of crap freaking you're gonna see right now. I'm gonna let Dr. Rashad Ritchie explain it. My man Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Definitely go subscribe to Indisputable by Dr. Rashad Ritchie, the TYT show. That's my jump off right there. All right, so here we go. Let me full screen it real quick. All right, guys, here we go. We're going to play it right now. You're about to hear about this school resource officer who literally did some of the dumbest stuff you could do.
We got another cop. School resource officer decides to pull guns on the black child for a Nintendo Switch. Yes, pulled a gun on a child for a Nintendo Switch. Here it is.
If I told you I had a Switch in my pocket, what would you think I was carrying? When a black autistic teenager told a classmate he had a Switch, they didn't think he was talking about the game system. So a few minutes later, a school security officer had him on the ground pointing an actual weapon. Normally, the child in this video is required to have an adult aide shadow him everywhere he goes. But today, that aide was absent.
My son has an aide that shadows him. And my son has autism to the point where if that shadow, that aide can't make it to school that day. My son can't go to school. It's not where you see the kid that this happened with, you know, just because he's high functioning don't mean he don't have autism. You understand? But, you know, he's, you know, thank God, able to go without the aid, you know, well, at least it seemed, you know, and, but yeah, my son, he's absent if he has no aid.
Even though the officer completely ignored protocol for what's supposed to happen in these situations, the school district is blaming the child for the incident. In press statements, the school district is bending the definition to make it seem like he admitted to having a weapon. And news outlets are using that statement for their headlines, painting the picture that the officer is justified because he felt threatened. I can't help but think that if the words switch, piece, or tool were used by a student with less melanin, it wouldn't result in them seeing the barrel of an actual weapon.
And that is very true, you know, in my opinion.
Put it up.
If he didn't have melanin in his skin, there's a chance he wouldn't have had a gun drawn on him. Listen, man, the kid has autism, bro. Use your brain. You're in a school. You shouldn't draw your weapon until you're certain there's a gun. First of all, because there is no gun. He's talking about a Nintendo gaming system. And you're too stupid to realize that he's not talking about a Switch. Like, come on, man. Like, look at where you at. You know, do the math. Are those kids that will be talking about Switches? Like, they out there banging like that?
That young man's at school. He has a gun pointed to his head. Content creator Tony Weaver Jr. recaps what happened. You saw that great video, Tony. In North Carolina, a Dorchester High School student had a gun pulled on him by a resource officer. The black student is 16 years of age. According to the cop, he thought he had a gun, but all the child had was a Nintendo Switch. That's it. Police say a staff member spoke to the officer about a student who reportedly told a different student that he was carrying a weapon. The resource officer went into the cafeteria to handle the situation, identifying the student based on a description from the staff member. When the officer asked the student what was in his pocket, he allegedly said, a Switch. Lawyers say the student was referring to a Nintendo Switch, a gaming console he carries with him as a comfort item that is known to staff.
How does that even warrant you pulling your gun? In any way, shape, or form, in any sort of logical person's mind, you got an autistic kid in front of you, 15 years old, and you ask him what he got in his pocket, and he says a Switch, and instead of thinking about the Nintendo Switch, you're gonna think about a firearm. He's supposed to know that that kid is has special needs. He's supposed to be informed that that kid has special needs. It's supposed to, when he sees that kid, he's supposed to say that's a kid with special needs. And it's sad that he didn't, or that he knew that and still did that. That's really, really crazy.
But the officer misinterpreted his statement to mean he had a Glock switch. Yeah, Glock switch. It was at this time that the officer drew his service weapon and had the student lie on the ground.
Yeah, WTF is right, Barbara.
Police say the student was detained without incident. Nobody was harmed during these events. According to them, officers are still investigating, quote, to ensure the safety and security of everyone at the school. No charges have been filed against the student, who has since been confirmed not to have any sort of weapon at all. There's more. Fraser
No charges were filed against the student. Are you serious? Like, why was that even said? Why were those words even spoken? That's wild. That should go without saying.
Fraser Law Officer, said in a release that the student the school resource officer put a gun on is autistic and is enrolled in the school's special education program. They also said that he is required to be accompanied by an adult aide at all times, but was not with him during the time of the incident. Now, there are a couple of things happening here. One, you have a massive misalignment of the truth and how the story has been told so far. You have headlines that basically justify the officer's position or point of view based on what he assumed the child meant in the statement. Beyond that, you typically have contracts between the child's parents and the school when you have someone who requires a special need. In this case, it was a Nintendo Switch. It's called a comfort item.
Yes, my son has comfort items. My son walks around with headphones. He, he dangles them and they, he goes like this. They make little tapping noises on the floor that he enjoys, and that's a comfort item for him. At any given moment, if he doesn't have headphones, if a situation gets tense because he's getting angry or whatever, if you have headphones on you and you give them to him, situation solved.
That comfort item is allowable in almost every jurisdiction, school jurisdiction that I'm aware of. Comfort item. Everyone is aware of what that comfort item may be. Sometimes it's a blanket. Sometimes Fraser said the teen's individualized special education or education program, this is a contract, IEP. This is your direct contract between the parents and the school.
Yes, we have an IEP. We have a person, like a consultant we speak to regarding the IEP. And even though my wife is more involved in that, if she needs me for anything regarding that, she'll call me and I'll jump on the phone if I got to.
Allowed him to have the gaming console on his person, meaning it was an approved item for comfort. The attorney clarified he had an additional.
They're just talking about how he's supposed to be entitled to have his comfort item, and not only that, he's supposed to have his comfort item and not have a gun drawn on him, because he talks about it, and it's a coincidence that he has a Nintendo Switch, and slang for a gun is a Switch nowadays. That's his excuse for drawing a gun on a 16-year-old severe autistic kid.
Switch, he means the game system. He means the Nintendo Switch, the one that his IEP covers. That's what he's talking about. So once again, we have to correct the headlines and the narrative, because this is more about the neglect of the institution, neglect of following the actual IEP contract, and the fact that the cop got it wrong. The only person that did exactly what they were supposed to do and following all terms of the agreement was the child who had a gun to his head.
I mean, that pretty much sums it up. I'm going to stop it there. Big shout to Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Let me make sure that I hit like on the video. I recommend any channel that I cover. So this man, I got mad love for Dr. Rashad Ritchie. He just seems like a good person, He seems like a very good person. He seems like his morals are very solid and serious, and he doesn't try to compromise his morals or his dignity for anything. And that's a man that I respect. Granted, I never met him in person, but that's what's up right there. I really like how he carries himself. Big shout out to Dr. Rashad Ritchie. All right, so we're going to get to the next topics. The next topics are lighter. You know what I'm saying? I had to incorporate a little sports, some funny sports too. You're gonna hear the NBA players arguing with each other, and they're gonna get crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'll save the Luka Doncic story for last. You know what I'm saying? I want to get to the what the NBA players really say to each other. That's a good one. So without further ado, we're gonna bring up the NBA players talking really spicy to each other. Oh, I just noticed what you said. Yeah, the police always cover up stuff. Yes, you know, that's, yeah, I would say they take up for each other and they lie for each other 100%. You know, I wouldn't say every single cop, you know what I'm saying, but I would say, you know, a percentage that shouldn't exist do. You know. All right, so let me hit share real quick. All right, so we're gonna check out the NBA players wilding out. We're gonna lighten it up because this is funny. I find it funny. I love basketball. Y'all know I love sports, and they're about to go ham on each other.
This past October, the 2000
Big shout out to Legends Productions. Let me hit that man with a thumbs up. And yeah, I'm already subscribed. So let's play.
2025 NBA season finally tipped off. There were a lot of new faces, and we got to witness some great basketball. Along the way, there was plenty of trash talk. Many players got into it, with fans even getting involved. In today's video, I'll be breaking down the best trash talking clips from October. This includes the preseason period and the first 2 weeks of the regular season. With a mix of lip reading audio and interviews, you'll get the full context for each interaction.
Big shout out to myself. I got on the 5th hoodie for the 5th live. Yo, I'm proud of myself. I've done 5 lives in I believe 10 days. And I'm still editing. I actually have a finished edited project being released tomorrow around like 11-12 o'clock in the day. So while I'm still doing these lives, I'm still coming out with the clean, super clean edited stuff. So definitely check out the one I'm releasing tomorrow. What is it again off the top of the head? Oh, the one that I'm releasing tomorrow is about how ICE arrested a soldier, a U.S. soldier, and put him in jail for 3 days for absolutely nothing. This is the power that ICE has. And this poor soldier he literally fought in Iraq, I believe, you know, he was on his way to work. They stop him. He looks Mexican. Next thing you know, he's in jail for 3 days. And he didn't do anything. And ICE, Border Patrol, La Migra, is over here arresting a U.S. soldier who fought for this country. I don't think that power dynamic should be there at all. That's crazy. So when I released the edited video coming out at like around 11 or 12 this morning, you know, maybe 1 or 2 the latest in the day, you guys could see that video. It's going to come out nice.
Now, without further ado, let's get into it. To start, let's talk about the most heated interaction of the month. It took place in a game between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies. With 3 minutes left in
Contavious Caldwell Pope gets into it with, I forget the kid's name.
the second quarter, the Pelicans committed a turnover. The play was dead, so Poole decided to launch a 3 while doing...
Oh, it's Jordan Poole and Contavious Caldwell Pope, KCP, they get into it right now.
So KCP decided to push him mid-air. Poole landed near the scores table and the referees held a review. KCP was pissed as he said, Poole thought the foul was intentional, which is when things got intense. As you heard, Poole was pretty animated in this.
It seems like they don't like each other, like, you know, because like when he hit the floor, you know, he's saying that he should have been stood on his feet, like, you know, they call it flopping. So they were saying Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was like, yo, he shouldn't even be on the floor. He's like, he's flopping. He's like, he starts telling Jordan Poole, get your flopping ass up. You know, and that was quick, you know. So they must have been getting on each other's nerves. They must not really be feeling each other.
Conversation with a fan, even saying,
Then he goes, look.
With AI,
You can create.
Oh, and that's crazy because they said about Jordan Poole didn't Draymond punch him. And I don't even like, I don't know what happened between them, but the way Draymond did Jordan Poole, he ain't, that wasn't cool. You know, I don't like Draymond Green to begin with, and when he did that, to me, that's some sucker shit. You know, Jordan Poole wasn't like it. What for him? It didn't seem like he knew it was that deep, and he almost, you know, broke his jaw type stuff. You know, it hurt. It took a second for Jordan Poole to even start playing basketball right again. You know, but thank God he found his rhythm and he's playing pretty good. But he was an all-star caliber talent before that happened, you know, and he still hasn't gotten back to his full self, you know. I'm not saying Jordan Poole is a saint though, but like I said, Draymond Green got a bad resume.
Create any.
See the comments real quick. Oh, cool, that's perfect. Boom.
Character you want in seconds.
This used to require huge Hollywood budgets, complex software, and tons of time.
But right now, all you need is a laptop
and
knowledge of the best AI tools.
In the end, the refs didn't call any additional penalty on the play. Poole was in disbelief, but the tension pretty much ended after that. On the other hand, Draymond Green didn't have the same luck. In a game against the Grizzlies, ironically, he almost got ejected from the game. With 3 minutes left in the third quarter, Draymond was dribbling the ball up the floor. He ended up losing it as Santi Aldama got the steal. In an effort to avoid an easy layup, Draymond grabbed Aldama and pulled him down. There was clear contact to the neck as
I don't like Draymond Green. You know, I do understand his game and the whole point guard thing and the point forward thing. He can't shoot for a guy who's supposed to be playing a big man game, but like he is not the greatest player. He knows how to, you know what it is. He's a good good game manager. It's almost like a quarterback that can manage the game, but you know, it's not even about whether he's the nicest player on the court or not, or if he's the nicest player in the world or not. I don't think he's that good, and he talks a lot. You know what it is? He talks about the fact that he got 4 rings. Well, you know, Stephen Curry got 4 rings. Klay Thompson even got 4 rings. Once you start to get to the, I would say not the third or fourth options. That's why I give them props. But once you start getting to the bench players and people that play 10 minutes and yeah, they contributed. Yeah, they couldn't mess up. But, you know, Robert Horry has 5 rings. And granted, he's a great player. But they don't look at him in the same regards as LeBron, Dwayne Wade. You get what I'm saying? There's other people like that. Bruce Bowen. You know, Derek Fisher. Like, you know, like, yeah, I'm just not a big fan of Draymond. And then he's a creep too, so.
As you can see with this scratch, Aldama was clearly hurt, but Draymond wasn't going for it. Jaren Jackson tried to argue for a flagrant, but Draymond quickly defended himself. In other words, Draymond thought it wasn't that serious of a foul. The Grizzlies coach was pissed, yelling, "What the hell is that?" The refs reviewed the play and gave Draymond a flagrant foul 1. He couldn't believe the call and told Aldama, "Don't cry like a pussy."
It gets
Aldama
crazy
ended up
down
missing
there.
the first free throw, and Draymond was loving it. Aldama also missed the second one, resulting in a Draymond taunt. He started skipping around and trolling.
They definitely lose a lot of money. Look at this guy. Like they're gonna make a meme out of that. The next video game, basketball video game they make, they probably gonna have Draymond doing that dance. Let's see that again.
In a Draymond taunt, he started skipping around and trolling Aldama.
He's
He even
losing his
said,
mind.
in the end, Draymond got the best of Aldama as the Warriors got a 13-point win. Now, we cannot talk about trash talking without mentioning Dylan Brooks.
Oh,
This is
this
literally what
guy.
he's known for, and in a game against the Clippers,
Yo, he will always be remembered as the guy who got scorched by 40-year-old LeBron.
things weren't any different. Just 8 minutes into the game, Brooks committed a foul. He didn't like that, so he started chirping at Harden, trying to throw his game off, but it didn't work. Just 5 seconds later, Harden drew on a
This dude is MO too. He don't like, everybody hates him. He knows he's called Dylan the Villain Brooks, and he just keeps doing it. So he don't even care. Like, he's one of them dudes that he knows he's a creep, and he don't care. He's like, I am what I am. I'm a creep, and I'm not trying to change. I think that's some bull, but you know, you got to leave people be themselves. That's who he is. He's made a name for himself in the NBA. He's rich, and even though he gets looked at like a bozo, like a clown, you know, people make their way in life, even if they're the villain. I guess sometimes, you know, he ain't hurting nobody. So
another foul. He made sure to let Brooks know, saying, "You can't guard me. You can't." While at the line, Brooks responded, in other words, Brooks was feeling himself, so he kept going at Harden. After a loose ball, Brooks grabbed him and said, "I'm right here." He was trying.
he's no James Harden. Yo, James Harden, let me tell you something. James Harden's prime came and went too fast. He should have had a longer heyday. But James Harden averaged 35 points a game one year. You know, he's an MVP. I believe he won MVP at least once. Like, Dylan Brooks is good too. He ain't Harden, bro. You are not James Harden.
Trying to instigate something, but Harden just kept laughing at him. He knew what time it was, and he responded with 3 straight threes. He even pointed at Brooks as he led the Clippers to a 27-point win. After the game, Harden explained the interaction.
Did that fuel you at all?
Probably. That's how he gets himself going. You know what I mean? Defensively, like, he talks to himself, he gets into you, he tries to alter the things that you're comfortable with or whatever the case may be. But, you know, he actually woke me up a little bit to, all right, come on, let's go. It's good.
He's not too mad.
Basically, Harden backed up his trash talk, which is something Paolo Banchero couldn't replicate. In a game against the Pistons, he got into it with Tobias Harris.
Paolo Banchero's having I think his name is Banchero. I've been saying it wrong for a while. But Paolo Banchero, he's having a rough year. This is a guy that's coming off a year where he was in the top 10 in basketball. And this year he's struggling to make the top 50. Usually that means, you know, it's not usually because out of nowhere the guy just starts thinking it up. You get what I mean? And he's coming off an injury, which means I think they're tied into each other. The fact that he's coming back from injury and he's having a hard time cracking the top 50, it means that the injury's nagging, most likely. You know, I know a lot about basketball. I study it. So just letting you know about Paolo Banchero's situation, because most people would have watched this and not really known.
2 minutes left in the second quarter, Paolo took Harris one-on-one. A foul was called and Harris was pissed. He thought Paolo was flopping for calls, but he fired back. Harris thought Paolo was getting ahead of himself, resulting in this back and forth.
And got a triple-double watch. He's got...
I know some of you believe Harris called Paolo a loser, but this angle shows otherwise. Anyways, double technicals were called, and Paolo said,
"These are the greatest players in the world." You got to remember that. Like, I'm not talking about these are good players. These are great players. These are the players. These are the players that they shop overseas for. These are the players. These are the best players in the world. They've traveled far and wide to get these guys. Only the best of the best. So when they get mad at each other, usually one of them, at least one of them, is going to turn up and start knocking down everything.
Now, the funny thing is that Paolo missed both free throws after this exchange. He
And some are going to get nervous and miss also.
couldn't back up his trash talk, and Harris was fired up. He kept going at Paolo, even calling him a bum at one point. In the end, Harris dropped 23 points, and the Pistons cruised to a 19-point win. However, Paolo wasn't the only one that had to learn the hard way. In a game against the Lakers, Anthony Edwards got humbled by one of their newest acquisitions. His name was Jake LaRavia.
Yo, Ant-Man is crazy. Ant-Man, like, he lives to talk, you know, and he could back it up. But this in this instance, the kid does good. LaRavia, I think is his name.
He had himself a night. He scored 27 points and shot 91% from the field. After making his fifth three, LaRavia stared at Edwards and said, "I'm ass." It was one of those nights, and Edwards couldn't believe it.
Like I said, they all NBA players. You see, Ant-Man is a superstar, and LaRavia is a guy just trying to make a name for himself. Like, he's a guy that just wants to be in the rotation, play every day. He don't care if it's 20 minutes, 15 minutes. And Ant-Man's a superstar, but he forgets that's a guy, that guy LaRavia has been scouted from. You know how many guys would love to take his spot? Guys that if you see play, you'd be like, oh my God. Yeah, but that man is there. That means he's special. So even a guy like that at any given night, he'd give you 27 points like nothing.
This moment right here gave the Lakers momentum as they won a thriller in Minnesota. This instantly became a headline, and LaRavia explained his perspective.
I kind of put my hands up like this, and I kind of agree with him, like who's number 12. I kind of played into it a little bit. I find that kind of stuff funny because I am not well known at this moment. So I'm just, head down, working hard. That's all I do.
You can tell the Lakers got a good one here.
You can always drop a comment. Anybody that drops by, you feel free, feel comfortable, just chill.
As they've been on a roll, the Houston Rockets have also been in the same boat, with Kevin Durant fitting right into their system. However, things got heated during a game against Brooklyn. With 3 minutes left in the third, Durant was called for an offensive foul. It was a very questionable call as the defender only made contact with the ball and not Durant's body.
Yeah.
The Rockets challenged the call, but they somehow...
He's all up in his space too. Like it's good defense. I don't know.
Didn't win it. Durant was outraged, and the Nets broadcast picked up his conversation with the ref.
I just looked at it. I looked at it too. He's so close to me. He got to back up once I start getting into my move. He's standing there. These dudes not backing up. Telling me I'm the one.
It's called retreating. Technical term in like the referee books or whatever.
Durant went further with his comments and said this about Jalen Wilson. The fact that the challenge wasn't successful says a lot about the current referees. They couldn't even give a proper explanation to KD, but at least the Rockets won the game. Meanwhile, this was...
Yo, KD is like LeBron durability-wise. Like, KD been playing since 2007. That's 18 years. He tore his Achilles like 5 years ago. And he's been playing like he never tore his Achilles ever since. Like, he came back from the Achilles injury. People end up retiring after that injury. He is 5 years in, 6 years in after the injury, and he's not even, it doesn't even look like it bothers him at all. 18 years.
Sixers fan couldn't relate as the whole Sixers team taunted him. This came after the Sixers made a huge comeback against the rebuilding Wizards. A fan was heckling Embiid the whole game, but he made sure to have the last word. I'm not gonna lie, doing all this against the Wizards is crazy, but at least this fan didn't get his feelings hurt.
I'm not a big fan of Joel Embiid, but I could maybe understand if the guy was saying some crazy stuff, them getting him at the end of the game.
In a game against Golden State, a Blazers fan did the complete opposite. For context, the Blazers were dominating the Warriors. They forced their shooters to take a lot of bad shots, and Buddy Hield was frustrated. He was cursing on his way to the locker room, which is when this happened.
Hey, is that cool to say that in front of my son? Hey! I don't care. Shut the fuck up. You see you saying that again? I got you on camera. I got you on camera.
Buddy Hield really couldn't care less, and it's crazy how this fan acted like a victim. Still, that wasn't as crazy as
Yeah, man. Even though they basketball players, you gotta leave people alone, man. Like he's over there, like feeling like he's not living up to his salary, and I mean, he gets paid though to take the heckling and everything. But you're talking about you got your kid there, then why you trolling him?
as when Gary Trent Jr. almost fought Bob Carrington. With the first half winding down, Trent gave him a shove. Carrington didn't like that and said, "Don't do that shit." Trent replied, "Shut your ass up. You talking to?" This resulted
Man, he practically kissed him. That was wild.
in double text as Trent kept chirping. He didn't like the finger point by Carrington, but things cooled off. It's just kind of crazy how close this confrontation was, but it is what it is. Meanwhile, Luka Doncic made a mockery out of Dennis Schroeder in the preseason.
Luka
This came
Doncic.
after Luka drew a foul on this play. Schroeder didn't.
Yo, listen, I've only had 4 favorite players in my life. When I first started watching basketball, Patrick Ewing played for the Knicks, and I was, the kind of fan that rooted for New York. So I'm a Knicks fan. So Patrick Ewing was my first favorite player. So, but then after that, I decided that I didn't have to pick a New York player as my favorite player. So when Allen Iverson came out, he became my favorite player. By this time, Patrick Ewing was retiring. So after Iverson started getting old and I could tell he was going to retire, LeBron James became my favorite player. So I thought LeBron was going to retire like 5 years ago. So when Luka Doncic came out, I dubbed him my favorite player. And I do this because usually I'm looking at how they play and I'm thinking who's the nicest player in the world. So those were my choices. People will look at me like, you chose Iverson over Kobe. Yeah, I did. When he came out, he was that good, Iverson. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, Luka Doncic is my favorite player. And as you see, because after this, I'm going to cover the beef that he had with the general manager of the Mavericks. And you're going to see how nasty Luka Doncic is.
Didn't agree with the call, so he started talking. Luka didn't take him serious as he said, "I'm not f***ing with you." Schroeder didn't back down and replied,
A great player out on the floor from your Carl's Jr.
Luka ended up missing the first free throw, but he then said, like I said, he thought Schroeder was a joke and pretty much kept laughing at everything he said. Luka made the second free throw and finished the game with 31 points. Right after the buzzer, Luka skipped shaking hands with the Kings. Schroeder was nowhere to be found, and that was pretty much it. However, that wasn't the only Lakers interaction during the preseason. This time, Dalton Connect got involved. In a game against the Warriors, he started chirping at Draymond. For context, Draymond was having a rough night without Steph. In the first quarter, he airballed a 3 and Luka even taunted him. He couldn't find a rhythm offensively, so Connect had some words. Knowing
What a coincidence is Draymond again.
Draymond, he took offense to it and went all in.
Week here against this team. We talked about game number 2 will be just.
You really cannot talk trash to Draymond since he's the same one that said this to Karis LeVert.
He said you've been traded 7 times. As much as I don't like Draymond, that was a pretty good one.
With that in mind, Connect didn't say anything back to Draymond and even avoided eye contact. Now, there's no better way to finish this video than with another Dillon Brooks interaction. We previously talked about his exchange with Harden, but
Yo, he's wild. Dillon got cooked by LeBron in the playoffs, and I mean like embarrassed, like historically. Like he's a historic crash dummy. But he can really shoot. And if you get into an argument with him, you better hope he's not on. Because, I mean, when I say he could shoot, I mean, he's an elite shooter in the NBA. He's not a 30-point per game scorer. He's not a 25-point per game scorer. He's not even a 20-point per game scorer. I think he averages maybe 18 points a game. But, man, can he shoot the three-pointer.
But he also got into it with DeMar DeRozan. With 3 minutes
Play,
left
period.
in the fourth quarter, Brooks grabbed his jersey. DeRozan pushed Brooks away and they had to be separated. Brooks was loving the intensity, but DeRozan clapped back. He called Brooks little right in his face and the tension kept going. In the next possession, DeRozan took Brooks one-on-one. He got him with a fake and drew an and one. He stared at Brooks for a couple of seconds as he wanted to make a statement. Still, Brooks got his get back. Just a minute later, he hit a jumper over DeRozan. He was hyped and the two exchanged words. Just a play later, they both got tangled up on a rebound. A double foul was called and DeRozan couldn't believe it. Brooks tried to explain his case, but DeRozan wasn't hearing any of it.
I like DeMar DeRozan too. He don't start trouble with nobody. DeMar DeRozan is mad respectful. It figures.
DeRozan really couldn't stand Brooks, but the Suns ended up winning by 4. This is the type of competition we want to see, and hopefully the trash talk keeps intensifying. And that pretty much concludes the video. What do you guys think of this NBA season so far? Wish he didn't.
Yeah, that's a good one. You know, I'm gonna show another one of his videos on a later note. He's really he's got good videos. Legends, big shout out to Legends. Go subscribe to his channel. Hold on, let me fix the camera. All right, we got one last video, and this is probably I saved the best for last. Let me pull up the Luka Doncic, Nico Freeman beef. All right, guys, this is the last one. All right, guys, let's get it. All right, I'm going to let this one rock for a second. I'm going to give you guys a little context. You know, Luka Doncic wanted to stay with the Mavericks. Luka Doncic, right? Real quick, definitely this is important. Luka Doncic could have been one of those players that came out of high school, but they had took that rule out, so he couldn't come straight out of high school to the NBA. So he played, I believe, for the Slovenian national team, and they won the title. All right, I think it was the EuroLeague championship. I'm not sure, but whatever league Luka was in when he was 17 years old, they won the title. All right, so this man has a title in a European league, right? I don't know if it's the Turkish league. I don't know if it's the Euro League. So he comes to the NBA, right? Now he's with the Mavericks, right? They get him as the second pick or something like that. So they strike gold. I mean gold. This guy is crazy. Like, this is the kind of guy that if you don't get hurt, you're paid. As long as he don't get hurt, it's forever. He's always gonna be that nice. And this is the story of how he got disrespected by somebody that thought they were bigger than him. and they found out the hard way that they were not bigger than Luka Doncic. And I'm not really into the whole money fame thing, but just the fact, like, if the guy did this to himself. So this is how Nico Freeman messed up on Luka Doncic, to the point where Luka Doncic does not mess with that dude. All right, so let's get into it.
After making possibly the worst trade in NBA history, Nico Harrison has finally been fired. This was a long time coming since he traded their franchise superstar for basically nothing. Anthony Davis has barely played, while Luka Doncic has...
Oh, and big shout out to Legends again real quick. Make sure I gotta hit a thumbs up on that. All right, that's what's up.
Look better than ever in LA. Still, Nico stood by his decision. He believed in a different identity and called out Luka through the media. This rubbed Luka the wrong way, responding in several exchanges. Therefore, what did they actually say to each other? We're going to break it all down in this video, including the before and aftermath. Let's get into it. It all started on June 28, 2021. After a tough 7-game series against the Clippers, Dallas needed some changes. It began with the front office since Luka couldn't get over the hump. That's what...
One thing I'll say though is Luka Doncic got heavy. The whole Zion Williamson thing, you know how Zion Williamson pretty much has destroyed his career pretty much. 7-8 years and he still hasn't gotten it right. He only played 10 games this season. Well, I ain't gonna front. The guy Nico Freeman, the one thing he could say is that he might have been scared that Luka was gonna become too big. But other than that, I mean, you should have believed in the guy, because this was the guy that, even though he was overweight, he still averaged 30 points per game and played in almost every game that year. But I ain't gonna lie, I was on Twitter writing to Luka, like, not that he would have seen my post, but he's my favorite player. I don't do the fan thing, so I'll just say he's my favorite player. But when your favorite player looks like he's gaining too much weight and he can be the next Jordan, maybe he's that good, bro. I wrote to him, yo, you gotta slim down, man. It's worth it. You that guy. I doubt he saw it, but that's how much I was worried. So I could understand one thing, that maybe Nico Freeman thought that Luka was going to become like Zion. You don't usually see players, this is $200 million. You'll see a person resist food for $200 million. But sometimes,
when Mark Cuban decided to hire Nico Harrison as their next GM, this was seen as a great move as he had close ties with the players. This included Luka Doncic, who he saw as a generational talent. However, there were also some doubts. As a Nike executive, Nico made some questionable decisions. One of the most popular ones is when he botched a Nike pitch for Steph Curry. He called him Seth instead of Steph several times and kept Kevin Durant's name in the presentation. This led to Steph Curry signing with Under Armour, which was...
Yo, how do you do that? How do you call Stephen Curry Seth Curry?
One of the most popular ones is when he botched a Nike pitch for Steph Curry. He called him Seth instead of Steph several times and kept Kevin Durant's name in the presentation. This led to Steph Curry signing with Under Armour, which was devastating for Nike. Still, Mark Cuban had high hopes for Nico. He had also done some great things in Nike, leading guys to several partnerships. With that in mind, things seemed great in Dallas. Just a month after the hire, Nico offered Luka a 5-year, $207 million extension. Luka accepted it as Nico flew to Slovenia to get the deal done. During the press conference, Nico said this to...
Man, I hit it on the head. And I didn't know they were going to say the number, and I didn't even really remember that was the number. I said $200 million. It was $207 million.
Luka.
Humbled and honored to be able to share this moment with you, Luka. It's really, really exciting that you can share this with your Slovenian family and friends, as well as the Dallas Mavericks family and friends. So I'm excited. The one thing, you're generational talent, and the thing about a generational talent is you make people better on the court, but you also make people better off the court. So I'm excited for what you're going to do to me and Jason, how smart you're going to make us look.
Sorry.
I'm really excited to work with you and proud of this moment.
I feel for him though. Let me tell you something. They put you in the general manager spot and they expect you to make the right decisions. Now let's say Luka becomes overweight, he's gonna get fired because they're gonna be like, why didn't you try to get rid of him when he still had value? You know, so I understand him worrying about maybe this was a crazy way of him to flip it. But you gotta listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying? He played himself. Like I said, I feel for the guy. Listen, man, you're gonna see how bad they treat him. So I feel for him, but he messed up. It's nobody's fault but his own.
For you.
Thank you.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, 108.
As you heard, Nico really believed in Luka's ability to lead the franchise. However, here's when the concerns began. Prior to training camp, Luka was reportedly about 260 pounds. It was evident in a game against Brooklyn as he looked a bit more overweight than usual. Still, Luka took accountability of his actions
and I gotta keep it 100%. Oh, yo, listen, this is real. I've watched him in a playoff game, and when they needed him, I've seen him run out of breath. Now, people might be like, so what? He got tired. No. That's when you make $207 million over 5 years, at that moment in time on the court, as far as that being your job, that's what they pay you for, to not get tired at that moment. And he was so overweight, it pissed me off to the point where I was literally writing on his Twitter, yo, Luka, what's good? You got to lose that weight. You got to get right. It's worth it. You're not only blessed to be in the NBA, you have the talent to be like Kobe, like LeBron, like Michael Jordan. Where he can take it, I don't know. Steph Curry. Even if he did Giannis Antetokounmpo or Kawhi Leonard, that's 1 or 2 rings. Kevin Durant, 2 rings. It's still, you know, don't become overweight and not even get 1 ring. He already got a scoring title. You know how hard those are to get? You know, he got a scoring title. He took one team to the finals and he took the other team to the Western Conference Finals already. Those are signs of that. He's knocking on a championship's door.
And said this.
On the broadcast tonight, a couple of times they were talking about your weight and conditioning. I'm just curious, where do you feel like you are physically, given the injuries you've had, the tough summer you've had?
I know I got to do better. You know, I had a long summer. I think I relaxed a little bit, not taking care. But you know, I got to be better.
Hot pockets.
How do you feel like that's affected you so far this season?
I don't know. I had a long summer. Like I'm saying, you know, I had 2 Olympics, 3 weeks off, and then I said I relaxed a little bit. Maybe too much, and I just got to get back on track.
In other words, Luka took the media's comments to his chest and improved tremendously. He lost weight in the next few months and kept taking steps as a player. Dallas was still trying to fight for a top 5 seed, so Nico got to work. On February 10th, 2022, Kristaps Porzingis got traded to Washington. In exchange, Dallas received Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. Many fans had
it's hard to understand how a man even becomes that good at basketball that quick. They must have had him in the league since he was a kid, and then playing overseas. You know, I'm sorry, but in America, it's just what it is. Like the culture, you know, you learn the tricky moves quicker. But I think what it is in other countries, they're hungrier. And man, Luka, when I would see him play when he was young, I was watching him play the minute he came out of college. You know, not college, the minute he finished playing that 1 year in the professional league overseas where he won the championship. After that was when I started watching him immediately. I couldn't believe the array of moves and how nasty he was when he was only like 19 years old.
Mixed feelings about this, but Porzingis kept dealing with injuries. Nico felt like it was time for change, and Luka wished him well.
What do you think of the trade for the Mavericks?
I mean, yeah, you know, obviously we're gonna miss KP. You know, we're building something great here, but it didn't obviously work out. I wish him the best, and you know, we got 2 new guys. They're welcome. Bertans is a great shooter. Divinity could put the ball on the floor and he could score. So, you know, NBA is a business.
Basically, Luka didn't have as much issues with the move as Dallas notched the 4th seed in the West. With Jalen Brunson as Luka's new running mate, the Mavericks exceeded expectations. They advanced.
I'm a Knicks fan, so I ain't gonna lie. I'm glad we got Jalen Brunson, and he ended up leaving the Maverick. That guy Nico Freeman was gonna end up getting rid of Luka eventually anyway, so he was gonna end up on the Lakers. But Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic were an amazing duo. I would love to see them play together again.
To the Western Conference Finals, and although they lost, the future looked promising. Brunson was expected to receive a huge paycheck in the summer, but Nico Harrison didn't quite make an effort. New York had offered Brunson a 4-year, $104 million deal, and Nico didn't even try to match it. Brunson signed the offer with the Knicks, leaving Luka by himself. During JJ Redick's podcast, Luka gave his thoughts on the whole situation.
It's hard. You guys lose Jalen. Don't get anything back for him, too. And then, did you have any idea Jalen Brunson would be this good?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Why?
I would say one game that really was impressive. We lost the first game against Utah. That second game, I mean, if we lost that second game, it would be tough to come back. We out.
Luka don't give no props easy. This is maybe one of the greatest players ever. Looking at another man and saying, man, that was special. And I know him, like I've watched him enough where I know he doesn't give out praise easy. You know, he was with Kristaps Porzingis. He never gave him praise like this. You hear him talk about Jalen Brunson like he was special. He's seen it. In the second game, Jalen Brunson took over. He didn't give a shit about no Luka Doncic. He was like, I got to do what I got to do. Jalen Brunson is he might be the top 5 greatest 6'1" players ever. Because 6'1" and under matters.
2, and then we have 2 in Utah. So that second game, I think he had like 45, something like that. Like it was a tough game, and we needed to win no matter what. And that game was really impressive. You know, I was just on the bench watching, like, wow, this guy's amazing.
The body scanner reveals the brutal truth about your body that your regular scale will never tell you. For weeks, my scale showed up.
You can tell Luka wished Nico could have kept Brunson since they had such a promising future as a duo. Regardless, Luka kept getting better and even showed a drastic weight transformation. He played with Slovenia's national team in the summer, but his body caught up to him. During the upcoming NBA season, he sustained a lot of injuries. He basically had to carry the whole offense, and the Mavericks were barely over 500. Therefore, Nico decided to make a blockbuster move. On February 6, 2023, he traded for Kyrie Irving. This was exactly what Luka needed, but the rest of the team was awful. They kept struggling to win games, even though they had a slim chance to make the play-in. They just couldn't lose any more games, and Luka wanted to give the team one last shot. In a game against Chicago, Dallas had the perfect opportunity. We've seen what kind of player Luka can be under high pressure, but Nico Harrison intervened. Instead of allowing Luka to play his regular minutes, he forced head coach Jason Kidd to limit his playing time.
And the owner basically saying you were trying to make the playoffs to this.
Yeah, that's
You see, Jason Kidd knows basketball. He knew that he shouldn't have did that. And he look at his face. But you know what? You got to stand up as a man and tell people that's a no-go. Just put it on record that I said no. You know, and he lets things get messed up. Luka gets mad at him too.
You're gonna have to ask the organization. You gotta ask, Nico that question. I'm the messenger.
He said no, though.
Here telling you what we're doing.
You involved at all in the discussion?
No.
This was Slovenia night for Dallas, so Luka was only given the chance to play in the first quarter. Nico Harrison had higher hopes for a top 10 pick in the draft, so he wanted Dallas to lose. They did just that as they were eliminated from playoff contention. Luka hated this decision as he said this during an interview.
I didn't like that decision. That's it.
You're talking about the decision to sit guys?
Yeah.
Was it discussed with you before the decision was made?
Yeah, of course.
And they basically said, hey, we hear you, but we're going to do what they think's best?
Yeah, I mean, we came to agreement, so it's all good.
You can tell Luka started to dislike the front office, and the league took action. They fined the Mavericks $750,000 for resting players that could have played. This was a bad look for the franchise, and things didn't get any better. Reports came out that front office executives around the league found it curious how difficult it was to reach Nico on the phone. He wanted things done his way and ignored.
Yeah, like you wilding out. Like, how you not picking your phone up?
And addressing the defensive concerns. This instantly brought up Luka.
I used to think that security threats and hackers look like this.
Luka. He mentioned the idea of trading him, saying, "Hey, will you ever do this? Trade Luka."
He went to Rob Pelinka and had dinner and brought up the fact, he said it in passing, like, yeah, I'm just thinking. And then it started to come true.
For AD, Pelinka replied, "Nah, you're joking, right?" Nico thought it wasn't a joke, so he said, "Interesting, maybe I would." This coffee meeting somehow led to these talks intensifying. Over the next few weeks, Nico kept mentioning this trade to Pelinka. He kept things as private.
You're gonna see he gets what he asked for, all right.
Lakers for a package centered around Anthony. This was complete nonsense. However, that was the proper leader for the team.
They had gotten a new owner too, on top of that didn't know about basketball. So he's over here co-signing everything Nico Freeman's saying, and he don't know they're about to make the biggest mistake ever. Dallas.
The fact that they actually believe this is crazy, since he had just led Dallas to the finals. To make things even more confusing, Luka had never requested a trade, so this was complete nonsense. However, that was the mindset these idiots had during these negotiations. On February 2nd, 2025, the trade was official. Luka was sent to the Lakers for a package centered around Anthony Davis. Dallas didn't even receive draft capital from LA or even a guy like Austin Reeves. That's how much Nico believed in AD, who was 32 years old. Luka was only.
But to be honest with you, AD has had problems with injuries his whole career. Like, does Nico Freeman not know basketball as much as I do? Because I would have not have done it. Not only do I like Luka Doncic as a player better than Anthony Davis, not only do I like him better, I think, he's a greater player, period. A greater player all around. Anthony Davis is a great player. I just don't think he's a Luka Doncic. That's a fact to me, But the first thing I would have looked at, if you would have been like, be professional about it, I would have said, okay, Anthony Davis is always hurt. You're over here worrying about Luka because he got hurt like one time. It could have been his weight. You're not even certain about that. And you're going to trade him for an injury-plagued player because he won a ring with LeBron and he can block shots. That was really bad. That was a really bad thought process.
Only 25 when this trade happened, which made things even worse.
And he's 7 years older.
Expected, Luka was pissed and actually broke his phone in anger.
I thought I would show you the souvenir from that night.
Oh yeah, he's still there.
You hang up the phone the night you're traded, and
he broke his phone. I would have broke my phone too.
For Luka, Rob Pelinka started things off.
Look at Rob Pelinka with the leather jacket. To be honest with you, that's probably like a $5,000 leather jacket. It unzips from the bottom upwards on purpose. That's like some ill name brand jacket. And it's not my style, but it looks all right on him.
By literally thanking Nico Harrison for gifting him Luka.
Anytime there's a trade or a transaction, there has to be a partner. And I want to thank the Dallas Mavericks, led by their.
Yo, Rob Pelinka was like, I got paid. He got paid with LeBron. He got paid with Anthony Davis. He got paid with Luka Doncic. Like Rob Pelinka's come in, and when they first went through whatever they went through with LeBron, I didn't really like him, you know. But then, as far as the Lakers GM, I believe he's good. He's good.
Your GM Nico Harrison, who was also very instrumental in bringing this opportunity to us, and then staying true to the negotiations,
staying true to being a fool
throughout, where it could be culminated with the trade being finalized.
Luka's face right here is
We think defense wins championships. We feel that defense wins championships.
behind the move.
As I said, you know, I get to play in the greatest club in the world, and I'm excited for this new journey.
And then it built upon that, and you know, we kept it between us. We had to keep it tight. The easiest thing for me to do was do nothing, and everyone would praise me for doing nothing. But we really believe in it, and time will tell if I'm right. And the future to me is 3-4 years from now. The future 10 years from now, I don't know. I don't think they probably bury me and Jay Butt, or we bury ourselves.
Yes.
Bury me and Jay Butt, or we bury ourselves.
The fact that Nico had the nerve to laugh about this is...
He's like, speak for yourself. He's like, speak for yourself, my dude. He's like, I ain't have nothing to do with what you did, and yes, you did. You know, like for the most part, I know Jason Kidd didn't want none of this to happen, but you know, sometimes you're worried about, you know. It was not his job description. It's his job description. If a higher up is saying, but let me tell you something. I think Jason Kidd regrets not saying, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this.
Crazy. Jason Kidd really looked like he wanted to fight him, and Luka quickly responded to his comments.
Defense wins championships. What do you say to that?
I mean, that's what he was saying the whole time, but I think it's just sad in the way he's talking right now. I never say anything bad about him, and I just want to move on. Like, I want to leave this behind me. Obviously, the fans, my ex-teammates, I always keep it hard, but
he's going to win
championship.
I told you guys.
Have you spoken to Nico Harrison since you left Dallas?
No.
They got a
Have
shot.
you spoken to him on the night that you were traded?
As good as the Nuggets
Here's
are,
something cool
and
here.
as good.
What you're looking at is the new
got a shot
Experience home gym. This one is called the Gym Monster 2. And look at how small it is.
DeAndre Ayton, Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James, if he's healthy, along with Rui Hachimura, Jackson Hayes, they got a shot. I'm telling you. Yeah. The Western Conference got the two best teams in the NBA in OKC and Denver. And then on the East Coast, you got the Knicks and the Pistons. Cade Cunningham and the Pistons, the Knicks, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns are the two powerhouses on the Eastern Conference. But I don't really see them as strong now. Of course, I'm rooting for the Knicks to win everything every year. But if they get knocked out for some reason, I believe Luka Doncic can beat whoever's in the Western Conference and then beat the Eastern Conference champion. If he could get past Shea and Jokic, he got it.
It is. This actually shipped.
In other words, Luka wasn't buying anything of what Nico was saying. Still, it was time for Anthony Davis to make his debut with Dallas. On February 8th, 2025, he stepped on the court for the first time. Things actually looked great as Davis had an amazing start. He was getting everywhere he wanted, and even...
And as much as I was on some, you know, this trade is horrible, I still was rooting for Anthony Davis. I remember when this was taking place, when he was having a good start to the season with Kyrie Irving. And then, you know, he got hurt, you know, but I was rooting for Anthony Davis always. You got to remember, LeBron's my favorite player. They got a ring together. You know, I only replaced LeBron because he's going to retire. And I needed something, you know, a player to root for. So I always look for who I think the best player in the world is. I picked Luka. And then I didn't think LeBron was going to stick around 6 years after I picked Luka.
Told the crowd,
LeBron's crazy. Year 23 it is? Year 22?
Unfortunately, this didn't age well as he suffered an abdominal strain in the third quarter. He
See,
ended up missing
guys that are 32 years old are getting hurt left and right. And LeBron is in year 23, I believe. And he's still playing and doesn't get hurt like that. Never, hardly, ever.
several games with his injury, which is the last thing Dallas needed. Meanwhile, Luka was welcomed in LA with open arms. While ramping up from his calf injury, he showed up to the Lakers-Clippers game. LeBron was on a roll and had 26 points. After making
Yeah, LeBron's bulky, so like I said, the moves don't look as pretty, but when you see skinny LeBron play, he's fancy. He's so nasty, it's crazy. You know, bulky LeBron looks a little weird, like doing the step back and sometimes the spin move. He looks like he's a little muscle bound. Looks weird, but you know, don't ever forget who that is, bro. Don't ever act like LeBron don't got handle, or he can't pass, or he can't rebound, or block shots, or steal the ball. He could do it all, everything. I've seen him throw it off the backboard during the game, on people's heads, everything.
In this layup, he even told Luka, "This is what we're gonna do." Luka was loving it as the Lakers won by 25 points. Luka slowly started feeling more
I've never
comfortable with the
seen
Lakers.
Luka like look impressed by a player until he's like LeBron is just that dude. Even at 40 something, he impressed them by dominating and then saying, "This is how we do it."
And the moment of truth finally came. On February 10th, 2025,
Yeah,
Luka was
my
set to
two
make his
favorite
Lakers
players on the
debut.
same
Everyone had
team.
their eyes on Luka as LeBron said this.
It's like if Iverson and Patrick Ewing played on the same team, that's how it would have been. Or if Iverson and LeBron would have played on the same team, especially like if he would have done it when he was young.
Before the game.
Luka, be yourself. Don't fit in, fit the out. Be yourself. Here we go, dominate. 1, 2, 3, dominate.
The funny thing about this is that LeBron literally said the complete opposite about Kevin Love. I'm referring to this 2015 tweet, so I just know Love had to feel some type of way. Anyways, Luka got to work and had a solid first game. He had 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Mind you, this was his first game since the calf injury, so this was expected. The Lakers ended up winning by 19, and Luka shared his thoughts.
Here we go, dominate. 1, 2, 3.
14 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Mind you, this was his first game since
That's a simple little come out, you know, that's his introduction right
the
there.
calf injury, so this was expected. For some reason, Nico Harrison showed up to Luka's pregame warm-up,
What's
pretty
wrong
much
with this
looking
guy?
at the talent he could have kept.
You're not wanted. Why you gonna go like that's silly, man? Like that's a person knowing they shouldn't do something and they still do it. Nah, I'm gonna do it anyway. Like it just don't make no sense. You should not be there right now. Give the man his space. You the dude that just changed the whole trajectory of his life. And you didn't care about whether it was good for him or not. You did it strictly over selfish stuff. And that's fine. You know, you did what you did. You feel like you had to do it for your job, for your family. Well, but don't try going being his friend afterwards, though. You know it wasn't what he wanted. You know it felt like betrayal to him.
If he wasn't an inept general manager, Luka barely made eye contact with him, which kind of reminds me when Blake Griffin ignored Steve Ballmer. Still, Luka kept doing his warm-up and even did push-ups in front of Nico, just to show him that he's not that out of shape. Now, the game began and Luka didn't waste any time. With
I don't give Luka no passes. That overweight stuff, that was his fault. He was the one that caused concern. It wasn't Nico Freeman shoving burgers down his mouth.
Nico Harrison in the crowd, Luka made sure to taunt him. After making this 3, he said,
He said, "That's what I do. That's what the F I do." He's right.
You could tell Mark Cuban regretted selling the team, and cameras also.
Yeah, if that Mark Cuban was there, I don't think that would have ever happened. Never.
caught this picture right here. Luka looking directly at Nico. Luka ended the game with a triple-double directly at Nico. Luka ended the game with a triple-double as the Lakers came out on top.
If you only score 19 points, it's okay if you got 15 rebounds and 12 assists to go with it.
After the game, Luka shared his emotions heading into the matchup.
A lot of emotions, not much sleep, but.
And of course, Nico had to pull up. This time, he was hiding by the tunnel since fans kept chanting. Anyways, Luka kept throwing shots at Nico. During a Gatorade commercial,
All right, yeah, y'all guys gotta see this. I was gonna jump ahead because I don't want it to stretch the whole thing because it's a 30-minute video, but we're close to the end now. This is the part I wanted you to see. Because this is where Nico Freeman really realizes he made a mistake.
As a result, fans started to get kicked out as Nico couldn't handle the. In that same game,
this is it right here, guys.
With that in mind, the Mavericks fan, with Nico showing up to home games, the fans started chanting, "Fire Nico." Things got so tense that a fan literally said it to his face.
Fire Nico! Fire Nico! Fire Nico!
I know I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm saying, though, it was just such a dumb move.
In that same game, the fan yelled the same thing during a PJ Washington free throw.
Yo, I just seen that, Barbara. Hold on one second.
Fire Nico!
Fire Nico. All right. Yo, Barbara, man, I appreciate that, man. That's what's up. I'm going to highlight that real quick, of course. I appreciate that, man. I tried to, before I launched the show, I formatted it. You know, I rehearsed a little bit, remembered all five topics I was going to do, set them up. You know, I did it different. I wanted it to come out good. Thank you. All right, so let's keep it going. We're almost done with this one. This is when you're going to see him really understand that it was a mistake. But we'll rewind that little part again. This is the beginning of the ending, but also the beginning of the understanding.
Fire Nico! Fire Nico! Fire Nico!
You're crazy.
In that same game, the fan yelled the same thing during a PJ Washington free throw.
Fire Nico!
PJ Washington got mad. He said,
as a result, fans started to get kicked out as Nico couldn't handle the backlash. It came to the point where Mark Cuban was annoyed by the chants.
Even Mark Cuban.
Cuban really should have kept the team if he wanted this to be avoided.
If you didn't want that to happen, you shouldn't. You know, I remember when he sold his, you know, he still owns the team somewhat. Like, he owns a smaller percentage. So, but what he did, he sold off enough shares where he doesn't have the say-so anymore. And when they got rid of Luka, he couldn't say nothing, even though he still owns, I think, like 16% of the team or something like that. But 16% ain't enough to say don't trade Luka. And he scarred. It hurt. You know, he got Luka for them. And then this, I don't want to name call, this guy traded him away. You know, and when they started saying fire Nico, it reflects on him. That's why he got upset. I don't think it's because he cares about, maybe he does feel bad for Nico. Who knows?
Cuban really should have kept the team if he wanted this to be avoided altogether.
And who are you to tell people sit the F down? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's right about fire Nico. Nico's a horrible general manager. And you sold your part of the team, so you couldn't stop him from making the worst move in Dallas Mavericks history. They got the kid Cooper Flag, and he looks really good. The other day, he broke the record for the most points ever scored by a rookie, I believe, right? Now, but if I pull up the NBA top 50, right, I always got it on deck. Remember, like, I study basketball, I invest in cards and stuff more than people understand. So, like, I'm gonna pull up the top 50 right now. Like, I'm gonna give you an example of why, even though Cooper Flag broke the record for the most points scored in a NBA game as a rookie the other day, I'm gonna show you something else. This is the top 50. Now, Cooper Flag had the game of his life the other day. And if you look at the top 50, Cooper Flag's name is not there. Now, the reason that this is important is because most rookies that are going to be that great, they're in the top 50 in their rookie year. LeBron, Luka Doncic, you know, most of the people that are going to be great like that in their rookie year, they're in the top 50, you know. But sometimes they aren't. You never know how good Cooper Flag could be. If I think he could replace Luka Doncic, no. But like I said, he's supposed to be that good. You never know. Look, let me tell you something. Even if Cooper Flag is as good as, let's say, Jalen Johnson or Cade Cunningham or Tyrese Maxey, you know, they'll be okay then, because those are really super, super great players, you know.
Anyways, Luka kept throwing shots at Nico. During a Gatorade commercial, he showed a towel that had the word traitor pretty much directed to Nico Harrison and the Mavericks front office. Now, it was time for the game everyone had been waiting for. Luka's first game in Dallas after the trade. This game was highly anticipated, and of course, Nico had to pull up. This time, he was hiding by the tunnel since fans kept chanting.
They're still on it.
You can create any character you want in seconds.
This used to require huge Hollywood budgets, complex software.
That's how much Dallas loved Luka and hated Nico. Still, Luka received a tribute before the game and was pretty emotional. This was the franchise he wanted to finish his career with.
You could tell he wanted to be a Maverick till the end of his career. You know what I'm saying? And look, they trade for Anthony Davis, right?
To it. This right here is the face of
All right, guys. Yeah, so let me hit play real quick.
a man who doesn't know what he's doing.
Luka wanted to stay, and they ended up getting in return a guy who always gets hurt. I love Anthony Davis. I remember when Anthony Davis came out and he had the unibrow, and I remember saying why he don't cut it. And then I found out that he made a statement saying he didn't want to cut his eyebrows because it spoke to who he was, and he didn't want to do it just because people felt that they didn't look right. I respected him so much for that. You know, I like Anthony Davis a lot, but just the fact of the matter is he gets hurt a lot. One thing don't got nothing to do with the other.
The Mavericks were eliminated from playoff contention, and it was time for the exit interview. Reporters didn't waste any time asking Nico the hard questions as this happened.
Why shouldn't you be fired?
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning.
Not the injuries, it's the Luka Doncic trade.
I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick. I think you add in Rick. The leadership that we have is
Yo, how could the reporter be so cruel? I gotta rewind that. I'm sorry. And it's not that I like that he was cruel, but I didn't expect that. When I was watching this and he said, "Do you think you deserve to be fired?" I'm like, yo, I knew news reporters could be cold. I didn't know. He reminded me how cold they could be.
Can be judged by the injury
to it, playoff contention, and it was any time asking Nico.
Can be judged by, well, one, I think I've done a really good job.
Nico, the hard questions as this happened.
Why shouldn't you be fired?
Oh, man.
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here. And I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end. And so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick. I think you add in Rick, the leadership that we.
I'm not a cold person. I think by this time he was starting to feel it, like pressure, like real pressure, like the kind of pressure that could put you in a depression. And I'm not okay with a mistake leading a person into a mental health issue or a depression. That's when it's time to leave the man alone. You know what I'm saying?
We have is really elite. And you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
Introducing Luxury's Most Wanted, the first ever Infiniti QX80. And
so far, that hasn't been the case at all, and reporters also a lot of weight and looked in his best shape ever. A lot of weight and looked in his best shape ever.
Yeah, the weight had a lot to do with it too. The guy got scared when Luka started to become overweight, and he thought if he kept him and he started getting hurt and became too overweight like Zion, he felt like it was going to come down on him, I think.
He didn't want to go out in the first since Nico died and was obligated to.
Nico paid Luka played a role in it because he started messing up with his health with being fit.
The Mavericks somehow got the first overall pick. They drafted Cooper Flagg, and Nico infamously said, "Fortune favors the bold," pretty much clapping back at the media. However, that didn't last long. With the new season underway, Davis was still dealing with injuries. He received treatment in his right eye and was obligated to play with goggles for the rest of his career. Then, just a few games.
I'm rooting for Cooper Flagg. Definitely.
Into the season, he suffered a calf strain. Nico felt the pressure, so he started to panic. According to The Athletic, Harrison reportedly urged Anthony Davis to return early from his calf injury, despite the Mavericks medical staff warning that there was a chance he could tear his Achilles if he came back too soon. That's probably what he was going to do with Luka as well, since it was the same injury. On November 10th, 2025, Nico Harrison watched his last Mavericks game in person. Like always, the fans chanted, basically nobody wanted Nico in Dallas, and fans.
Why don't you go out to eat with your wife instead of going to the game? Why don't you go hit up a really beautiful place and go have a good time instead of getting chanted about how they want you fired?
Even told the players the same thing at the free throw line. At this point, home games became away games. The Dallas Mavericks and owner Patrick Dumont are expected to fire general manager Nico Harrison at a 10 a.m. Took accountability for trading Luka Doncic. Confronted Patrick Dumont. According to
they're saying that kid right there in the Lakers jersey went up to the owner and said, "Why'd you trade Luka?" And that the owner actually says he shouldn't have to the kid. Now, I think I got this right. You guys tell me. Because I was skipping ahead a little bit, but I'm like, they need to see this.
away games for Dallas. Things kept getting intense, so this Luka fan confronted Patrick Dumont. According to Shams, Patrick Dumont reportedly took accountability for trading Luka Doncic and admitted it was a mistake during this conversation. That's all it took for Dumont to make his decision. Just 10 hours later, Shams tweeted, "The Dallas Mavericks and owner Patrick Dumont are expected to fire general manager Nico Harrison at a 10 a.m. Central Time meeting on Tuesday." The move was finalized as Nico was officially gone from the organization.
I was gonna stay there forever.
Yeah, man, and that's it. Say goodbye to Nico. That part of that chapter of his life is over. Him and the Mavericks not only are no longer connected, I don't think they'll be wanting to reconnect with him because he will forever be known as the guy who traded Luka. And I don't really wish that on him, but it is what it is. I didn't trade Luka.
But I didn't. Right now, I'm focused on the Lakers, trying to move on.
With Nico,
Luka's going to stay with the Lakers forever. Let me tell you something. I mean, you never know. Like, I can't tell the future, but I think he's going to stay there. As long as they provide him with talent, you're going to see Luka be a Laker. Rob Pelinka has actually crushed it for the Lakers. Anyway.
Go now gone, and you obviously have a lot of fans back in Dallas. Is there a world in which you could ever see yourself?
They asked him if he would go back to Dallas, and he's like, I'm focused on the Lakers right now. Jason Kidd, yeah, he got mad at Jason Kidd. I'm going to show you that.
This came after Kidd was arguing for several calls, and Luka replied, "Shut the f*** up, face." Clearly, Luka still.
Yeah, he don't like Jason Kidd no more. That's pretty much everything regarding Nico Freeman and Luka Doncic. Big shout out to Legends. Go definitely mess with his channel. I've been watching some of his videos, and he was the one that had the video where you heard what they were saying to each other. Even though they thought you couldn't hear their arguments and stuff. That one was good, and he brought the Nico Freeman and the Luka Doncic beef. So yeah, but yeah, man, I'm glad Luka's in LA because LA is not exactly the kind of place that's gonna give up a person like Luka. That's why they kept Kobe forever. You know what I'm saying? But the crazy thing is that they gave Shaq up. they gave Shaq up, right? For the same reasons that they were gonna give up Luka, the Mavericks. So the Lakers know what it's like to see a person become too big, and wonder if they should get rid of him. They got rid of Shaq over the same exact things, but then he did go to Miami and win a ring. But he, a lot of that ring that the Heat won with Shaq, a lot of that fell on Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was a monster. Dwayne Wade picked up slack for Shaq, for overweight Shaq. That's real. That's a fact. Listen, guys, this is one of the longest lives I've ever done that I've stood interacting and commentating on something. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Yo, Barbara, man, you already know, man, you a real one. Salute to Barbara, man. Much love. Love you guys, man. I'm out of here. Let me highlight that one right there. Facts. You already know. Have a good night, Barbara. Good night, people.